Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Make Alphanine. So we have another massive bank here. It's going to be using XRP. This is Commonwealth Bank of Australia, and it says they will be migrating to cross-border payment standard ISO 20022 standard this month. They expect it to be completed in 3 years. So we have that timeline again. 3 years. You know, Bank of International Settlement said 3 to 5. Also at the bottom here, it says here, in March this year, National Australia Bank began to adopt ISO through RippleNet. So that's two massive banks in Australia that XRP will be moving value for. What does it do to that price? Every day we're talking about billions and trillions of dollars. Like I said, I believe it's going to scale into the quadrillions. Then if you're taking all that into account, what does it do to that price? Not only that, we've been covering bank after bank after bank when it comes to XRP over the last few weeks. So now we have Commonwealth Bank of Australia. We're definitely going to look into their financials. Then we also have National Bank of Australia here. We just did QNB. We did Attajari Wafa, Morocco. We did Attajari Wafa, Europe. I think that was the last one we just did. We've done so many different banks. And each one we're talking about trillions of dollars, billions and trillions of dollars. I mean, the value that's going to move through XRP is unbelievable at this point. So now let's continue on here. So then we get this tweet here from Ripple. It says tokenizing real world assets is proving to be tremendously valuable to a number of industries because of the inherent transparency and programmability of blockchain technology. Of course, they want the transparency because with this, I was trying to tell people this, within the governments, within the large companies, there's so much theft. There's so much espionage. There's a lot of different things that go on. They want to know about it. They can't know about it right now. It's too hard to track it down. They don't have the manpower. But if you have something like blockchain where everything is like transparent, they can just look in. Now that programmability is really key here. They want to program things to alert them, program algorithms and artificial intelligence to watch out for certain things where people can't do it. AI can do it 24 hours a day. There's a lot they want to do to benefit themselves and protect themselves from themselves. Unlike the regular people, see, the governments and the big companies, they know that there's mass corruption, and they acknowledge this, that there's mass corruption within themselves, and that is injurious to them. They don't want that anymore. It's sort of like we used to see those mob movies, and one of the members of the mob will be stealing from their own family, and then they get called in. They would have to have people on the lookout, of course, but maybe they knew because there was a couple of $100 missing or something. Who knows? A couple thousand. And they call them in and say, "Hey, listen, there's a couple thousand missing. You know, Tony told me there's a couple thousand missing. Is that true?" And then they check on it, but they have to. But the point is, there's always corruption within the families. There's corruption within the government. There's corruption within the companies. And they don't want that. They don't want to lose that money. They don't want their lives to be on the line, some of them, right? Because sometimes there's corruption, and beyond just the legality of it, the illegality of it, it can be tied into very, very bad things, right? So they don't want that either, because they don't want to go to jail because somebody in their office did something. So anyway, the point is, they want that transparency. They want traceability. They want AI involved for a lot of reasons that I think regular retail investors are not going to think about. So that's another reason why these technologies are desired and needed. That's another reason why you're going to have rogue agents coming out, like that one Fed member that came out like yesterday. You're going to have them come out and say, "No, we don't want crypto. Crypto is useless. Blockchain is useless," when that's in contrast to what Boston Fed is saying. That's in contrast to what the New York Fed is saying. That's in contrast to what the BIS, the IMF, the ECB, the AMFIF, the Digital Institute, the Faster Payments Council, Faster Payments Task Force, Digital Pound Foundation, Digital Euro Foundation. That's in contrast to what everybody else is saying. But why? Because those are sometimes, allegedly, those are the type of people that might get caught. Or they know people that might get caught. So they have to be against it. Because if they're for it, they're literally for their own downfall. Get what I'm saying? And even if they're not deep into illegality, and sometimes there's monies that are getting paid around under the table. FTX style, allegedly. That's what they said. Allegedly. FTX spreading around money and, you know, to grease certain wheels, allegedly. But so those people have to be against it because they don't want that money to stop. This is why the governments and central banks and large companies want traceability. They want transparency. They need the bank coins. Something to think about. I'm just saying. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm seeing. So yes, tokenizing real world assets is proving to be tremendously valuable for them as well as for us because it's going to make that price explode if it continues to go the way that it's been going. So now, let's continue on here. So then we have a tweet from Stellar, right? It says, we are partnering with Merkle Science to bring the highest level of, we just saw Ripple talking about transparency, right? Look at this, a day later, they just did the same thing in Africa. Remember, Stellar made that announcement about working in Africa and access to 1 trillion. Then XRP, Ripple made the same announcement basically the next day. They have access in Africa to 1 trillion. We covered both articles. All right, now you have it again, Stellar and XRP. I'm telling you, see what's there. They're talking about, Ripple just talked about transparency, and here you have Stellar saying, we are partnering with Merkle Science to bring the highest level of transparency and risk management mitigation, sorry about that, into our ecosystem. SDF has fully integrated Merkle Science's behavior-based risk reporting and transaction monitoring system with Stellar. Why? Because you know who they're working with. They're working with so many banks and large financial institutions. They might even be working with governments soon, I believe. Firmly, I believe that. I believe they're going to be working with states, specifically states. I think Algorand is going to be doing something similar. Excuse me. They want to know what's going on inside our company. There's going to be a lot of ramifications for this once they institute these things. A lot of people are going to get caught who just can't change their habits or they just financially can't do it. My goodness. We'll see. We'll see how it works out. So then you have this here. Stellar Org. Over the past 20 years in Argentina, citizens have experienced an annual inflation rate of 24%. This ranks as the most relevant issues for Argentines today. Vibrant app solves this problem with a USDC you can use today. Here's how. So once again, Stellar's getting even deeper into Latin America. Latin America is going to explode. A lot of those countries, I believe, in South America will be working hand in hand with the BRICS nations. And that's just a sign and a symbol of rebellion to the West. They're going to rebel against the West. Once they shake off the manacles of the West, especially like the IMF and things like that, maybe, they can start to thrive and build their own infrastructure. They know what's best for them. So there's more businesses moving down there. There's big money people moving all over Latin America. They're going to be building businesses. A lot of big businesses are going down there. So Latin America is poised to explode and become better and better and better. And Stellar wants a piece of that, and it looks like they're going to take a huge chunk of that. So this is very, very good. So then we have this little tweet here from Algorand. It says, we are proud to announce that Algorand has won 2 categories in the Shorty Awards for our Earth Day takeover at Times Square. But more importantly, we are the most proud of the impact from our campaign. Now, Algorand, I love Algorand and what they're doing. They are the people's coin. They've been on the ground working with the people. They've been in the universities educating the youth, which is going to free the youth. I respect that. They've been feeding over 1 million people in India. I respect that. They were there with Ripple when they built that playground for the children over there on the West Coast. I respect that. Right? So this is awards that is very well earned. I'm very happy for the Algorand Foundation. They've been doing a great job, and I hope that they continue. So we just had that tweet from Stellar about being in Latin America, and then here we have Algorand. But we know for a fact Algorand has been dominating Latin America via Koi Banks, K-O-I Banks, B-A-N-X, Koi Banks. Okay, I have to spell it out because sometimes I say it and people don't understand what I'm saying. Okay, so Algorand has been deep in Latin America. They've been used as a traceability protocol. You know what they're doing in El Salvador. The Bitcoin that's in El Salvador is actually running over Algorand. Also El Salvador and I believe another country as well. They were trying to do payroll infrastructure on Algorand. So you have all these different things going on here. But it says here, what a week for Algo fam in Latin America. They give a bunch of names here. They have represented our team at a series of events in Buenos Aires. And they'll continue to do a great job. They have great advertising. We know that. You can pretty much do anything with Algorand. It's one of the most secure, fastest, and most efficient in every possible way bank coins, right? Not only that, but that price explodes very easily. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but that price explodes very easily. Imagine what's going to happen next time when we already saw what happens when there's only a retail bull run. Imagine when there's a utility run, right? So now let's continue on here to this article and its title. Banks still show interest in digital assets and DeFi amid market chaos. Of course, only, it's so mind blowing. They still have people trying to convince the retail investors, oh, nobody wants crypto. Crypto's done. Crypto is dead. Really? Well, the banks don't seem to know that. The banks, I've been covering article after article telling people that the institutions are accumulating. This is just one more. Just one more. Banks still show interest in digital assets. Right. While all the retail is selling and they're bailing out and they're scared and shook in their boots. They're shook ones now, mob deep. They're shook ones. The banks are buying everything up. They're trying to find a way to control DeFi. It says the cryptocurrency sector is the wild, wild west in comparison to traditional finance. Really? Are you sure about that? Which angle are you looking at? Are you sure? Right. Not to mention the crypto industry has been sabotaged greatly. Oh, I'm telling you, it's been sabotaged greatly. It's been made to look very crazy on purpose. Because when you put something in such a state, it's easier to control. Problem, and then you cause the problem, and then you come in with the solution. You cause the problem secretly, only to come in and reap the rewards of rendering the solution. Right. That's how it always is, man. People they don't get that yet. I don't know why, but they just don't get that yet. The Clearinghouse, a United States Banking Association and Payments Company, stated on November 3rd that banks, quote, should be no less able to engage in digital asset related activities than non-banks. So they want in, is what they're saying. Exactly. But the retail investors are going to continue to sell while the banks, this is a clearinghouse, while the banks continue to buy. Of course, it's always that way. My goodness. Let's continue on here. So this article here is titled, "The ECB has a long way to go with the rate hikes." Not says, I'm assuming that this is Klasnot, right? Yep, it is Klasnot. The European Central Bank has still got a long way to go before interest rates peak, as inflation could also take an extended period to come down. This is what I've been saying. But if you go by all the article writers, now let's celebrate, because now they're going to be able to, the Fed and the central bank's going to be able to take their foot off the gas. Right. It says here, quote, "As long as we are confronted with monthly upward surprises in inflation, as long as measures of underlying inflation are picking up 0.2%, 0.3% every month, I'm more worried about us doing too little than I am about us doing too much." Exactly. I 100% agree. Let's move on here. Here we have an article and it's titled, "Gold prices fell on Friday and were bound for a weekly dip following indications from U.S. Federal Reserve officials that more interest rate hikes were due as the bank seeks to lower inflation." I told you, bro. Let's just continue on here. Spot gold fell 0.3% to $1,755 per ounce by 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, set for a weekly decline of about 0.8%, its biggest since mid-October. U.S. gold futures also fell 0.3% to $1,757. Sorry about that. The slight pullback in gold after the recent rally has been through a technical retracement in the gold market, said David Meager, director of metals trading at High Ridge Future. The pullback could continue going into next week's December option expiration, which could cause a further consolidation in gold, Meager added, and that the market overall seems focused on interest rate expectations from the Fed. Federal Reserve Bank of Boston leader Susan Collins said on Friday the central bank has more rate rises ahead, of course, ahead of it as it seeks to lower inflation, adding that a 75 basis point hike was still on the table. It has to be. It has to be 75 or 100. It has to be. In my humble opinion, anything else is going to be disastrous. Let's continue on here. Another article, Carvana lays off 1,500 employees. We keep on covering these layoffs, mass layoffs. Like, this is a sign of deceleration. Be careful out there, everyone. Protect yourselves at all times. Know what's going on at your companies if you work for one. It says Carvana is laying off 1,500 people, or 8% of its workforce. This has been happening all over the world, but specifically, there's been mass layoffs in the United States and the West as a whole. You've seen it happen at banks. Goldman Sachs just did mass layoffs. Facebook did mass layoffs. Here you have Carvana doing mass layoffs. I mean, everybody's. Then you had who was it? Amazon doing mass layoffs. I mean, we can keep going. There's mass layoffs everywhere. That should be telling everybody the state of the economies and where we're at right now. Let's continue on here. All right. Home sales. This is from NewYorkPost.com. Home sales plunged to lowest level in 10 years as prices stay high despite high mortgage rates. We've been covering the housing industry as well, keeping you up to date on this stuff. Be careful. I know. Be careful what you use as a store of value. OK, you will render your liquidity illiquid if you move into the wrong things. All I'm saying is just be careful. Sales of previously occupied U.S. homes fell in October for the 9th month in a row to the slowest pre-pandemic sales pace in more than 10 years, as home buyers grapple with sharply higher mortgage rates, rising home prices, and fewer properties on the market. Existing home sales fell 5.9% last month from September to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 4.43 million. The National Association of Realtors said Friday. The string of monthly sales declines this year is the longest on record, the NAR said. Sales cratered 28.4% from October last year, excluding the steep slowdown in sales that occurred in May 2020 near the start of the redacted. Sales are now at the slowest annual pace since December 2011, when the housing market was still mired in a deep slump following the foreclosure crisis. So there you have it. All right, now let's close out with this one right here. Then we'll come back tomorrow. Probably going to be a much higher energy video tomorrow. I feel like unleashing a little bit. We'll see. Canadian dollar. The Canadian dollar extends weekly decline as oil prices slide. The Canadian dollar weakened against its U.S. counterpart on Friday, with the currency adding to this week's decline as oil prices fell and data show the largest divestment of Canadian securities by foreign investors in nearly 4 years. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.